Hi, my name is Corrigan Nadon-Nichols and I work at the North American Students of Cooperation. This is part 4 in a video series about incorporation for housing co-ops, how to form a legal corporate entity. In this section we'll talk about what is actually involved in incorporate, how to, the steps. Um, so, we talked in previous segments about what a corporation is and how it relates to a co-op. We talked about the benefits of incorporating and also about the costs of incorporating. So if you do decide you want to go ahead with this project, where do you start? Where's the magic wand that you wave and suddenly become a co-op? The first thing is what are called articles of incorporation. This is basically a document which says what the name of the company is, how to get in contact with them, who the official people who can act on behalf of it are, and what happens if the corporation does close or dissolve. Articles of incorporation are usually a fairly short document, maybe 3 or 4 pages, and this is the document that you actually submit to your state government to say, please recognize us as an official corporation. In many states, it's pretty basic. It's a form that you can fill in the blanks on. A good place to start is to look for the Secretary of State's website or Department of Business Affairs for whatever state you're operating in, and they'll often have forms. You'll see on most of them there'll be forms for a for-profit corporation or a not-for-profit corporation, and we won't get into that in this video, which of those two you want to do, but it'll be one of those two. So you'll fill out the articles of incorporation. Next, what you'll want to do is put together bylaws. This is a document that defines a little bit more about how the organization operates. This is really kind of the constitution or foundational level of what your co-op does and how it works. And this is where the various rights of members and the democratic functions are baked in. So bylaws is a group that defines who is a member, how do they become a member, who makes decisions for the organization. Generally you will have a board of directors, which is defined in the bylaws. So who are those people, who elects them, and how? And who are the officers that can act on behalf of the organization. And it should also say how the bylaws themselves can be amended over time. As a co-op goes on, new things will arise and there'll need to be changes, so you need to know how to make those changes. Once you have those two documents together and you've got a definition of what your the corporation is for the co-op and how it's going to operate, then you can submit the paperwork to the state. Some states will want you to submit your bylaws, some don't actually care, and you can just send them the articles of incorporation. So you'll sign the paperwork, write a check for however much the fee is, mail it in, and then a few weeks later you'll get something in the mail from the state and they'll say, congratulations, you're a corporation. Or they'll say, sorry, you didn't fill out the paperwork right, try again. This is a point where you may want a lawyer to look over your documents, look over your bylaws, provide advice here. You might be able, this is the kind of work that's fairly standard. You might be able to find lawyers that are willing to do it pro bono or some kind of legal clinic, or you might need to pay somebody a small amount of money to work on that. The fourth step that you'll want to undertake in forming a corporation is to get a Federal Employer Identification Number, FEIN. You get this from the IRS. There's a fairly short form that you fill out for that and mail it in. This gives you a number that's it's basically like the social security number for a corporation. It's the number that most government entities will use to identify you, and it's a number you have to put on your taxes when you submit those. It's called a Federal Employer Identification Number, but even if you're not going to have employees, you'll still want to get that number. And then the final step is to figure out when all of your annual forms are due. Mark that on your calendar. You'll want to figure out when your state corporate report is due, and you'll want to figure out which state and federal tax forms you need to file and when those are due. And it'll be good to get an accountant to make sure that you're prepared for filing those. Okay, that's the final segment. Hope this was useful in learning about incorporation for co-ops. If you have any additional questions, feel free to look at our website, nasco.coop, or give us a call. Thanks.